The draw for next year's FIFA World Cup in North America is being done in about a week's time. But for the first time, we know officially the draw mechanic for the expanded 48 team 26 World Cup. It is, 16 teams, bigger than it's ever been before. And so if you have 50% greater number of teams, you need a different format for putting those teams into groups, and that's what FIFA has now told us about. Sizwe Mbebe, football analyst, editor of SoccerBeat, on the line to us now. Sizwe, hello.
Good afternoon. Always a pleasure to chat with you, legend. Of course, good afternoon to the listeners.
Okay, cool. Sizwe, does this draw mechanic make sense? What they've done is they've got 12 groups of 4 as opposed to 8 groups of 4. And the way the seeds have been dealt with, is that something we're used to?
That's not something we're used to because, of course, there's statistics that's used, the form that's being used. Sorry, it's our festive season. Of course, wherever I am, there's going to be people who are going to find another quiet space as well. So seedings are working based on statistics. Also, locations. So, for instance, an African number one seed, right, is reserved as spots. It's not necessarily based on rankings. So it's those kind of things, those little elements that make it complicated. But this also happened with the Champions League when they changed the format. Everybody started to question and ask questions without allowing it to happen so that we can all be in an understanding. It's a new world. It's a new World Cup with a lot more teams. Will be guided by whatever system they've chosen, and that's where we're at the moment.
We don't know the full draw yet, but we do know that South Africa is in pot 3, and that means that South Africa is going to be in a group with somebody from pot 1, which could be
Yes.
Brazil, France, England, Spain, Portugal, Argentina, Germany. Not teams that one would realistically expect Bafana to beat. And then pot 2, Morocco, much higher ranked on the African list than South Africa.
Correct.
Japan, Uruguay,
Senegal.
Colombia. So there are a couple of teams there that I think Bafana would fancy their chances against. So, but it's too early to decide whether to be depressed or elated about Bafana's chances on what we know now.
Look, one thing it's giving us, right? I'm looking at it glass half full, is that in our group we'll have a big name, right? We are guaranteed to have a big name, so our team will have a taste of playing against at least a top 10 ranked team in the world, right? So that's something we can mark down and say, whatever happens, the guys are going to have an experience of playing at the top tournament, the top tournament in the world against a top ranked side at that level. And they're going to take away that experience and say, okay, I once faced a Brazil at a World Cup, and I note that down and tell my kids, right? That's number one. And then number 2, I think this is where the World Cup then becomes interesting. It's going to be about form, who wants it more on the day. Like you just said, the teams in pot 2, we have a chance against. We've beaten Morocco convincingly, and they know that as well. But for whatever reason, maybe they got better results somewhere else. They are ranked higher than us at the moment on the continent and, of course, in the world rankings. But they'll end up in pot 2. It doesn't mean when we face each other, there's no chance of us beating them. There's every chance of us beating them because we've done it before, you know. So this is where the World Cup then becomes interesting when it comes to the pot 2s and the pot 3s and even the pot 4s. Because, again, there in the pot 4s, we might be playing against a Haiti. It's a beautiful story for me, you know. A team that otherwise would have never had a friendly arranged with. But at the World Cup, we're going to write a story next to Haiti. So these are the little elements that are going to come with this change that we all fear, of course, because we have a lot of questions. But remember, it's also opening us up to a brand new world. And the new world includes Haiti, South Africa, you know, and of course the Brazils and the Italy, if they make it, if Italy end up making it.
You're right. There are wonderful stories. I mean, Curaçao qualifying for the World Cup, they would never have
Wow,
done that.
wow,
They would never have done that if it was continued to
wow.
be restricted to 32 countries. And if you think about the trouble that Haiti has been through over the last decades, and the
Wow.
civil unrest, the climate has, and the fact that they've qualified is extraordinary. But at the same time, we're going to have to wait and watch the tournament and see who rises to the top. But I'm still a little concerned. Yes, I love the idea that the Haiti stories and the Curaçao stories are being told, but at the same time,
Yeah.
how much does it, I don't know, what's the word, weaken the competitiveness of the
Mm.
World Cup?
I think also on a human level, I think if I'm a 36-year-old World Cup veteran, and my team doesn't really have a chance of winning the World Cup, I'd love to write a story next to Haiti. So there's many elements into a World Cup. I think for the first time, in my view, this really feels like a global World Cup because there are a lot more teams, a lot more stories, a lot more avenues to be disappointed, a lot more avenues to be excited. You know, so there's so many more stories to be written, the level of unpredictability also rises higher, which is what we want every time that we watch a sports game, right? So in this case, I think we're going to be feasted on that on a regular basis. It's on us to maybe have the appetite to sit through that and enjoy, this once-off type of event that's going to be happening. We're going to have to wait another 4 years to experience.
I like your attitude. Thank you very much. Sizwe Mbebe, editor of SoccerBeat.